Now that you know the theory of prototyping, I want to give you a brief overview of wireframing process. The purpose of the design alternative stage was to come up with some forerunners for your prototypes. For that purpose, you did some sketching where you probably used some skills you learned in an art class. The purpose of wireframing is to work in a minimal way. The best way to start wireframing is to grab a big marker pen or a pencil and a stash of paper, and most importantly, feel inspired. Start the process by first creating building blocks of the wireframe, then fill in details, then work out the flow, and then repeat if necessary. The building blocks are related to the actions your system wants the user to complete. It helps you to organize the information and start figuring out the flow of a page before you start worrying about things like the font and the color and making everything pixel perfect. To identify the building blocks, you can ask yourself the following questions. How should I organize the content to support user goals? Which information should be made prominent? What buttons or touch points does the user need in order to complete the desired actions? What does the user expect to see on certain areas of the screen? Right now, you are just drawing the building blocks, the bare bones, so keep it simple. For our example problem, the bare bones wireframe may look something like this. A simple big box with several small boxes. After identifying all the building blocks, you can move on to the next stage of wireframing, the process of adding details. The process of adding details should be to achieve clarity, user confidence, and simplicity. Clarity is about identifying what the page should depict and what the user should be allowed to do there. Clarity should aim at organizing the layout to satisfy user needs. It should aim to answer the question, can the user easily complete their desired actions without too much thought? User confidence is about making the page easy to navigate and placing clear calls to action buttons to make the product interface predictable and comfortable. Simplicity is all about keeping out the noise. Avoid information overload. Excessive content, links, and buttons can be distracting for the user and make it difficult for them to achieve their goals. The process of adding simplicity is typically achieved by working from top to bottom and then left to right. For the calendar example, I first added details at the top and then added some details at the bottom. Depending on the need, I might also have to add more details by starting from the left side and then moving on to the right side. If you are in the early stages of making a wireframe, your focus should be on making the sketches clear. In the later stages, details should aim at defining usability conventions such as navigation bar, search bar, spacing, layout, information hierarchy, call to action, and image size and location. The final stage of wireframing is about defining the user flow. After you create, design, and wireframe for each screen, after you have created, design, and wireframe for each screen, you're now ready to define how the user is going to get from A to B. Once you have established a rough flow, then you should start exploring it in more detail. Look at each screen in the user flow and each step, Then try and refine those steps to make the user flow as simple as possible. The user flow for the calendar example can look something like this. Remember, this user flow was defined after all the screens in the flow were first created. So clicking on the call to action button will open up the event creation screen. Now clicking on the search facet icon will open up this detailed search page where the user can define their search parameters.